Hey, what's up, Seekers? Wanugee with GoldenDragonFortunes, your K-Rap sidekick. And we're going to do another BTS member, the oldest one. We're going to do Jin, Seok-jin. So, hey, Army, stay tuned, because here we go.
Hey, what's up, Seekers? Looking in the future, Beakers. You K-pop leakers, come around and see us every weekers. Yo, diehard K-pop fans, I want to know your stance. Just let us know your bias, then go ahead, try us.
Hey, welcome, Army. Wanugee with GoldenDragonFortunes. We're going to do, like I said, a reading for Seok-jin. It's the 7th member of BTS that we're going to do. We've done everybody else. So this is the last one. We just did RM. Now we're going to do Jin, worldwide handsome, and so as he calls himself. And we're going to do maybe a couple things here. We're going to kind of look at maybe his future over the next year, and then maybe we'll look at some other things. Maybe his love life. I don't know. We'll take a look. Perhaps we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned. Maybe a little later. But first, we're going to kind of see what's going on with his future in general over the next 1 year. And we're going to use something that I've used maybe only once before, but it's a really fascinating kind of method. It's called the runes, R-U-N-E-S. Runes is kind of an ancient Scandinavian Viking kind of divination system. It uses little stones that have some kind of writing on them, some little symbols, and it's very old. So going back several hundred, couple thousand years perhaps. But that's what we're going to use. And I've already kind of picked some, I've already thought about Jin, focused on him, and I've kind of reached into my rune bag here and did some rune casting. So I casted out some of these runes here. They're laid out here. And in this layout, it's called the 8-point wheel. So it kind of looks like a wheel, and it has 8 stones on it, 8 runes on it. And these represent really kind of the circle of the year, and each position represents a time of the year, and then each stone represents what the influence is at that time for Jin. Now Jin, you know, he's the oldest member of BTS. He is 26. He's going to turn, well, in Korean terms, he's 27. He's going to turn 27 in Western terms and 28 in Korean terms on December 4th of this year. He was born on December 4th, 1992. So he is a Sagittarius, maybe in the Western point of view. But he is going to turn 28 in Korean terms. And you know, there's a Korean law of military inscription for all males that when they turn, or when they get into their 28th year, they need to join the army. They need to get involved with the army. That's required by law. There's been a lot of controversy, a lot of talk, a lot of you army, hey army, come on in, welcome in. There's been a lot of talk amongst the army about, okay, maybe all the BTS should join together because we don't want to leave Jin alone, and they all should be together because they've been living together in their dorm, and you know, they're so tight and so supportive of each other. So we don't want anybody to be lonely, or we want them all to be together and join the army for 2 years. Or maybe they'll get an exemption. So maybe because they're so globally popular and they've done so much for the Korean economy and Korean culture, that they should be exempted from the military. But there's no indication that the government is going to provide an exemption, even though they have made some exemptions for some classical musicians and for some Olympic athletes in the past. The only K-pop, there's only been about 4 or so K-pop stars that have tried to avoid getting into the military, and it never went well for most of them. Even Psy, you know, Open Gangnam Style, Psy had some controversy that he actually enlisted twice, you know, so he paid his dues. And so there's some, you know, I know all your army are thinking like maybe they can get by, they can just keep singing and dancing, and you know, they won't be broken up, and maybe they'll all get an exemption. But there's no indication that's going to happen. And you know, one other person that kind of tried to avoid that in his own way has been banned from Korea. He cannot come back to Korea. So hasn't gone well, and for K-pop idols for whatever reason. Maybe there's still some hope, but we'll see what the runes say for for Jin. Now, you know, this idea of all of them joining the same at the same time, maybe good for you. Maybe, you know, maybe you think that's a good idea as an army, but I'm sure Big Hit probably has some different ideas, because they're going to lose their biggest moneymaker for the last 5-7 years for 2 years. They're all going to be in the military. They, you know, there's not going to be much they can do. There's going to be a big drop in the income. They've just made some acquisitions, maybe to try to help them out with some girl groups, you know, with another agency. And there's some rumors about maybe another third agency maybe be involved. But, you know, Big Hit is a moneymaker. Yes, we know they have TXT, that, you know, the younger group, but they're just getting started. They don't really have the momentum and the fan base that BTS does. And so, you know, it would make sense as a business person for Big Hit to say, okay, yeah, why don't you all join and we'll just have no income for 2 years. That doesn't make sense. You know, other groups have had one person leave, join the military, and they keep performing. You know, the group keeps performing as long as they can. I mean, I think Super Junior has gone through their things for, I don't know how many years, 15 years. It's been a long time, but they're still around. Some went in, some came back. You know, TVXQ, very popular, maybe second generation. They're back. But you know, it makes sense from Big Hit that, okay, we lose Jin, and then maybe we lose one at a time, and then they circle back around, and we can kind of keep at least 4 or 5, you know, performing, maybe 4. Performing while, you know, they're kind of cycling through, and maybe there's some ways to do some things, or maybe some solo events or something to keep the revenue going. Of course, it depends on the contracts as well. So anyway, that's, you know, maybe make some comments, you know, let me know what you think and, you know, what your ideas are. But, you know, that's what I think, being practical about it and not just being, you know, wishful thinking. But let's talk about Jin, Kim Seok-jin. So, Worldwide Handsome. And so I'm using the runes, and they're in a certain sequence. And we're going to start over here in a little bit to the left, to your right, excuse me, probably around 5 o'clock from your point of view. Because this period here, this point on this eight-point wheel represents roughly November 1st, roughly, maybe, and moving into maybe December 22nd. So this one here, this position is called Samhain, and it represents roughly November 1st. And the rune that we've picked or casted in this position is called Awaz. And Awaz represents transition. You know, it's kind of saying that maybe for the next year there's going to be a transition, or the beginning of a transition for Jin, from K-pop star to military enlistee. So there's a transition starting to happen here as we speak and as we move forward toward his birthday, which is coming up in a couple weeks, 3 weeks. So this represents transition. And then this next position here, this is called the Yule, or the winter equinox, this position. And it represents roughly about December 22nd, which would be Yule. Now Yule is Y-U-L-E, and you know, in this term has become popular in Western, Northern European Christmas lore, because the Yule is the Yuletide log, which is by the fire, and you know, kind of burns over some time, and so it kind of indicates the season of Christmas and Yule. This rune that's here is called the Pertho, and Pertho represents sacred play, or games, or block pleasure. This is kind of a reversed. We should really be pointing that way. So it's more of block pleasure. And so what that means, I think, is that, you know, this is going to be in the holiday season. It's going to be right after his birthday. He just turned 28 in Korean terms. And so I think some of his, you know, feelings at that time is going to be kind of muted, because he has a responsibility that he has to kind of be considering and getting prepared for. So this Pertho represents maybe that there's going to be not as much joy and celebration around this time for him, maybe kind of blocked, or a little bit blocked. And then if you go over here to the, and go clockwise, the next rune here is in a position called, Imboik, I-M-B-O-I-C, Imboik, this represents roughly about February 1st, and it's called, the rune itself is called the Manaz. And Manaz, it's kind of short, it's kind of long term for man, and it symbolizes a man's talent, a man's love, partnership, humanity. And it seems to say that, you know, I guess what I'm getting from this is that I think he's going to be maybe a little bit more open to the appreciation of his members, you know, because he's starting to go through this transition and all that they've been through, and kind of reflecting on this in February, just kind of having a sense of a bigger purpose and a connection of all the things that BTS has done for, you know, for himself, for Jin personally, and also for all you ARMY, and this sense of humanity, and, you know, some of the things they sing about and write about, and this connectedness of, you know, love yourself, and the persona, and, you know, those kinds of things that they've done most recently. So it seems to say that's going to be emphasized, that energy, particularly around February, and maybe that's Valentine too, maybe. So maybe there's some sense of love and partnership, and, you know, connectedness of humanity as well. And then if you go up here, this position is called Astara. Astara represents the spring equinox, and it's roughly about, you know, 6 weeks later, 7 weeks later. It's about March 22nd, around that time, is the spring equinox. And this particular rune that kind of looks like an M, the name is Awaz, and Awaz is the horse. And the horse, you know, in this system, and also in other systems like the Chinese Batzi, represents movement. You know, this the horse is always moving. So it says that there may be some change in locale, or starting to be some change in movement and mobility, roughly around this time in the spring equinox, springtime. And if you look at above that, and this is roughly another 6 weeks or so, or so, more or less, this position here, which is probably more like 10 or 11 o'clock, I think, in the morning. I mean, if this was a watch dial. This position is called Beltane. And Beltane is roughly about May 1st, around that time frame. So kind of ending spring, maybe starting to move a little bit towards summer. This rune that is here at the Beltane position, called the Thurizaz. And Thurizaz is kind of representative or symbolic of a giant in this folklore of Viking and rune culture, kind of like an ogre, kind of like a Shrek, I guess, but not a nice Shrek, maybe more. It represents some difficulty, or some misfortune, or some challenges, or some things that need to be worked out, you know, because this ogre is kind of a big, huge kind of monster, almost a big giant. So it's something that has to be worked through, and is in the way, or is presenting a big problem. And if you go up here, this position is actually called the summer solstice, and this rune that's here is called Hegel's Et. And Hegel's Et this looks like an N. The Hegel's Et represents disruption, that things are going to be disrupted or delayed, or things are problematic. So there's some issues that maybe emphasized around this time that have to do with disruption and delay, and somehow affecting Jin, roughly in the summertime. This position is this position here is called Lugnaza. It's around August 1st, and this particular rune is called Navdiz. And Navdiz is a rune that represents constraint, constriction, and hardship. So it's going to be a difficult time for Jin, it seems, with this Navdiz, and here at this point, roughly in August. And then if you go farther over here, this is roughly about 3 o'clock on this dial here, but the time of year this represents is roughly about September 22nd or so. This position is called the autumn equinox, represents autumn. represents roughly about September 22nd. This autumn equinox is also called shedding. In the rune language, it's called the shedding, but it represents autumn equinox. And this particular rune is called Solwold or sun. And it kind of symbolizes the higher self. Maybe the higher calling, maybe it's about the higher sense of duty, you know, maybe for the country. And so it represents that maybe, you know, he's, you know, thinking on a bigger space, not just about himself, but his sacrifice to the country and what he can do for his country, like all other men have done. And it's kind of a higher self, kind of a higher calling. And that's what this Solwold rune represents at this shedding period. And then it goes back around, and then we're back around to roughly November. And so that kind of represents basically the next year for Jin, Seok-jin, worldwide handsome. So so that's it. Seems like there's, you know, something coming. Obviously, we kind of know it's coming, and these runes seem to, you know, suggest that it is, and kind of gives you an idea of maybe how it might develop. So if you have some comments, you know, please make some comments about this, or if you have some ideas, you know, please be happy to make some comments and suggestions, or put your thoughts down there. But I wanted to look a little bit about in Jin's love life. You know, let's see what's going on maybe between now and you know, the next year, if anything. I'm going to do some tea leaves again and see if we can find anything and see what comes up. Okay, Army, here we are. We're going to take a little quick tea leaf reading for Jin, Seok-jin. We're going to start right here and kind of go that way, kind of go around this way. So we'll start right at this signal and kind of go that way and see what we got here. What do you see? Is that a little bird? Looks like a little, is that like a little cardinal? How about this over here? This is a little T. Or maybe this is this a J? Is there somebody with a J? Is that Jungkook? Jimin? I don't know. Is that a JT or a JI? Let's look over here. What do you see here? You see something here? Looks like there's something going on there. That's a lot going on. I used a different tea here. I got Kimun Mai Feng. It's Chinese. It's a nice tea. Specialty tea. Looks like this is somebody. Is that somebody with long hair waving goodbye? Or is that an owl in a tree? Or is that maybe a little mermaid female body there with the hair flipping? What do you see? Do you see anything, Army? For Jin? That's about 3 months from now. And then if you go over to here, looks like there's a gate opening up. There's a door opening up somehow that maybe he has to go through. Or something like that, maybe. You see anything here? There's some Hangul up here. You see some Hangul you can make out of that? Maybe it has some name, some numbers. You go over here. And we're getting close to like halfway through the year here. Looks like there's something here. Is that an animal? Is that a skeleton? Something in the closet? Skeleton in the closet? Or is that, I don't know, is that a crab? What do you think that is, Army? See anything there? And over here, is that a K? Or is that an animal? Well, there's a couple of, is that a rabbit with a couple of ears? Maybe there's somebody ear the rabbit? Something like that. What do you think, Army? And then, you know, I mean, maybe that's rabbit. I mean, you know, we know that Jin, you know, likes pets, or he's actually donated to for, you know, for for animals, giving donations to for animal causes. So that's softened his heart. And then there's a lot of things going on here. Is that some type of antlers, a dragon, or a snake? What is all that in here? Can you figure that out? Do you see something there? See the little symbols? Then you go over here. That's probably about almost 9 months from now. Oh, then wait a minute. What's this? As you get kind of close to the end of the year, it's like, is that a K? That's a K, isn't it? And then, is this an S? And is that a J? Kim Seok-jin? He's worldwide handsome. Maybe he really loves himself. Maybe that's the key to his ship. Do you have any ships that you have for Jin? Maybe it's all about worldwide handsome. Kim Seok-jin. What do you think? Army? Give me your opinions. Put down your thoughts. All right. So anyway, that's it for tea leaves. We made it real quick and simple. Okay, Army, BTS Army, what do you think? You have some comments, put them down below. You have some ideas. You know, if you want to have a check to see your compatibility with one of your favorite BTS members or any really K-pop idol, then you have to do a few things. You have to like and subscribe, because I don't do this just as casually. You have to kind of, like and subscribe first. And then if you give me your hour, day, month, and year of birth, and the city and city and country, then we can maybe calculate your compatibility with your favorite idol. And we'll put that in, if you request it, we'll put it back in the comments when we get time. I mean, we're busy, so, but we'll try to get to that just to help you out, and thank you for your subscription. So you might want to like and subscribe, ring the bell, put it on social media, share it if you like. And we're going to be doing some more of these readings for some other K-pop idols for sure. And we'll probably circle back around with the BTS members as well, Blackpink and all the other favorite people that you want. But if you have somebody you want us to kind of do a reading for, you might want to put some comments down below, and we'll try to get to them when we can. But we're busy with, this time of year with a lot of holiday parties. We're here in Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area, so there's a lot of tech parties. And we're going to be doing some for people like Facebook and Google and all these kind of names that you know. So we're into high demand. But we'll try to get to your requests when we can. Like and subscribe, and give us your information, and we'll see what we can do. So in the meantime, thanks everybody, and good luck to Jin. Hopefully he has a good year, and hopefully things work out well for everybody and all your army. So until next time, wishing you all good fortunes.
I'm your K-rap psychic. Try me twice, you'll like it. My name is Wanugee. OGs call me Wanugee. I'm a wise fortune teller and a really mellow fella. Ask me about your favorite idol. See their future, see what's vital.